But man, I love what you're doing. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on your show, Joe.
Yes, sir. So let's begin the conversation with, COVID was such a big deal for all of us. It sent so many shockwaves through everything that we did. Now that we're in a new year, how much of living through that time period has created these waves that you're still dealing with right now?
Coronavirus. Let's go back to where we were in that time. That was 2020, right? Or was
Yeah,
that was 2020?
yeah,
So Donald Trump had just become president, I believe, or he was a couple years into his presidency, something like that.
yeah,
And he was laughing about it. He was laughing about coronavirus. So the entire country was laughing about coronavirus. I believe at the time I was in Houston. I was in Houston and down with the Roughnecks, the Houston Roughnecks. This was the first year the XFL was coming back, and they were still under the WWE. We were busting everybody. We were 4-0 at the time. We were about to play the Seattle Sea Dragons. This was my comeback into professional sport. And we had June Jones, the old Hawaii coach, very, very nice guy, great coach, and I loved his offensive scheme. We were running like 4 or 5 wide every play so that, they could not play their base defense. And that for somebody like me, that's awesome.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm not gonna get that many chances to run, but when I do, it's on me to go ahead and make something happen. So we were having a good time, but now we got this, coronavirus, and like I said, it was like this running joke. They're like, "Oh, everybody's gonna catch the Rona," and we were laughing about it up until the very moment. And what they say, they said that the center had actually come down with coronavirus, and he was sick. Everybody's, "Oh, everybody's gonna catch the Rona. What are we gonna do?" But it was funny.
Yeah.
And then we played the Sea Dragons. We beat the Sea Dragons. They flew over here with the coronavirus. They spread it through the whole stadium, and everybody started getting sick.
Yeah.
My son was the first one to get sick, but he was at the time he was like 2 years old or something like that. He was a baby,
Yeah.
and so he was just kind of lethargic, no appetite for the day, and then he was kind of fine the next day. And then I got it, and it was like for me it was a heavy cold. It was a
Yeah.
heavy cold and real stuffy nose. Then the third day I was very drowsy and I started to recover. Then my wife probably got it the worst out of all of us, and she actually did have a little bit of trouble breathing at a certain point, but it was we were sick. Everybody on the team started getting sick, and then we got the news later that week that the NBA was going to shut down, and then it became a real deal pandemic, and the entire world shut down, the league shut down. The people were sick, but they were like, I don't know what they were doing. They test people and say, "Oh, you don't have coronavirus. This is something else. You're good. Everybody go home." I guess it was this liability thing.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be responsible, so they sent everybody home. We had actually quarantined ourselves in the hotel. We were staying at, I believe it was. We were in downtown Houston. The Galleria was like a stone's throw away, so I believe it was a Marriott or something that we were staying at, and we just quarantined ourselves in the hotel until everybody got better, and we made our way home. But at the time, like you said, it was waves of nonsense that was going on. The world was shut down, but things were still going on. You could still get delivery from DoorDash. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, but there was just issues that started to cascade. Um, sports shutting down. I didn't have a job at the time. So I went back home. I was dealing with some issues from my divorce. I had to sell a house, move to Pennsylvania, and I was staying with my dad at the time. Um, we're still dealing with it, honestly, man. Not just coronavirus, but just the things that came from coronavirus. I decided once sports ended, in that way that sports was over. It wasn't really a thing for me to do anymore. I had other ambitions. I had a clothing company that I had, started building the brand around. This clothing company was doing denim. I'm wearing a pair of the jeans right now.
Yeah.
These are this is all weather selvage. These are Japanese selvage denim in an athletic fit,
Okay.
and I decided I had actually, as we went to Houston, I had shipped off my first product order to Canada, and there was a store out there called Dutil, and they picked up like $15,000 worth of jeans, and they were set to hit the shelves the spring of 2020, which was the same time that coronavirus shut everything down, So um, and I was counting on that, to really start making some good money. Dutil, they had a spot in Calgary, Toronto, and Vancouver, so three big cities, and so it was supposed to do really good. Coronavirus kind of killed that whole thing.
Yeah.
They did open up, in November, but it was on very limited basis, and people were afraid to breathe each other's air. So, I wasn't selling any jeans, and like I said, that deal kind of fell apart because of the coronavirus. Um, but then I decided to open up my own store. I'm like, well, maybe it's not necessarily coronavirus. Maybe they just don't know what it is that they have. You know what I'm saying? I at this point, I could sell the jeans better than anybody else can. Let me open up my own store.
Yeah.
So I did come back to the Lehigh Valley, where I finished high school, opened up a store in an outdoor mall called the Promenade. And I thought that the outdoor mall setting would be good in, a situation like coronavirus where people don't really want to be in the building
Yeah.
next to each other like that. And it was good and it was bad. But the fact was that coronavirus, even though this was 2021 now, this was September, October 2021, I opened up the store. At that time, coronavirus had actually ransacked that mall. There was, and even up until now, there's about 20 empty stores still over there. But at one point, this was like the biggest shopping destination in the area.
Yeah.
So I got a really good deal to come in, but anytime there's 20 missing stores, there's a deeper issue,
Yeah.
and that was uncovered by coronavirus. And the fact of the matter was is that place just wasn't managed very well.
Okay.
And so, I had my time. I learned some great lessons being with my first retail store. Ended up having to move on from there to, another mall. I went and did a Simon Mall. We have a mall out here called Lehigh Valley Mall. And then, 3 months into that situation, big business bit me, small business in the butt as well. So, um, the other thing that I was doing at the time, before I actually opened up the store from that 2020 period, I uh I do fitness training. I'm a trainer. And I got into it I wasn't actually training while I was playing ball, but the reason I'm training now happened because when I was playing ball, I had a shoulder injury. My shoulder was like it was falling out the socket. I don't know if you ever seen me play, but I'm a violent runner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My mindset is I'm going to hit you harder than you're going to hit me. That's
Yeah.
why I wore that big clunky 44 on my chest, so you knew exactly what kind of running back I was.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, um, but my shoulder was messed up, and I met this guy and he's like, anything in your body that's messed up, I can fix it. If you break your brain, I can't fix that. But anything below the neck is easy. And I was telling him about my shoulder. I'm like, well, the doctors told me I can't fix it without a surgery. And I had already had a surgery. It's messed up again, blah, blah, blah. He's like, it's easy. It's easy. So I'm like, well, what do I got to do to work with you? This is the off season now. Like, I'll do whatever I got to do. He said, well, if you want it, I want it more. I'll come pick you up and we work out wherever you want to. So I worked out with this guy. I call him Master Shin. Worked out with Master Shin for 23 days, and I never had another problem with my shoulder.
Wow.
Never subluxed again. So it blew my mind that just off of exercise and nutrition. We work out 2, 3 hours at a time, and he'd be like, all right, that's enough. You had enough for the day. Let's go eat. And he'd take me to Koreatown. We had a spot called Palisades Park in Jersey, on Broad Street. And we go eat here, we go eat there. He's like, that's good for you, that's good for you, that's good for you. We was having, spicy tofu soup and seaweed salad, all types of different Asian foods. And 23 days, I never had another issue with my shoulder. So I followed this guy for 4 years. He extended my playing career for one, but I followed him and learned as much as I could, and combine he combined everything that he knew, because he was, like I said, he was a martial artist. I don't know if I said that. He was a martial artist. He mastered a bunch of different martial arts. He said he subtracted all the things that didn't work and he made his own martial art. Now, this was not kicking and punching. I didn't learn any kicking and punching. I wish I did, but I didn't learn any kicking and punching. But the philosophy of the martial artist, that through breath and movement the body can build itself. So I wasn't lifting any weights. I was lifting my body, and he was teaching me breathing techniques, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
So now that's what I use to, give to other people to help them build their body, through this body weight mastery type of exercise. And so I was training during the pandemic. I had opened up a little mini studio before I decided to open up the store. And again, it was a situation where the pandemic was like, people didn't they don't want to breathe each other's air,
Uh-huh.
and not just that, I wasn't actually in a commercial space. This was like a 4-car garage that a good friend of mine, Diab, had opened up for me. He's a real estate mogul type of dude, so he just had some property, and we worked out some kind of deal where that was my studio. But it was hard to get clients. People didn't, they were scared. They were scared, and I didn't really want the liability of somebody falling out or this or blaming me for this or that. So it was kind of like I was between a rock and a hard place, and that's what pushed me to go ahead and open up the clothing store in the mall. But yeah, the pandemic it's still here.
Yeah.
It's still, you can still see it in certain ways.
Yeah, you certainly can. So, was it your dream since you were a kid to be a football player? To get into the pros? Was that always the dream for you?
I know that I always loved to watch the running backs run the ball. I always wanted to, if I was going to play football, I wanted to be a running back. I didn't really have a fan of a team. My parents are Jamaican, so football wasn't their sport.
Sure.
That's what I seen my older brother playing in high school and college, and I loved the game from there. But when I was 2 years old, I got hit by a car, and it was like this traumatic experience. I guess it was traumatic for me, but I don't remember it like that,
Yeah.
as being traumatic. But for my parents, it was. And so my mom, she didn't want me to play football. She's like, I don't think that's the sport for you. You had this a head injury, there's a scar on my forehead. Can't really see it too well, but there's a scar on my forehead right there. And they're like, yo, that the white meat was hanging out your head. Like, you you had to get this like 7 or 8 stitches to stitch my head back up. And the doctors told my mom, like, he's not conscious right now, and when he wakes up, he might not be the same. They were telling her that something might be wrong with me. But they actually ended up releasing me from the hospital the following day from the accident, because I was running around the hospital. That's how I got hit by the car. I was running around,
Yeah.
so it's always running. And my brother played football, my little brother played football, but she wasn't trying to let me play. I'm like, look, if the car didn't take me out, I don't think these guys gonna take me
Yeah.
out, Mom. Like, you should let me play. And finally I got her to give in like sixth or seventh grade or something. So I started playing late, but it didn't really matter.
Yeah. So who's been a hero? Who's been that inspiration for you? I mean, I think about when I was in junior high, there was a guy that walked into a room at one point and he had a marker and he wrote 0.00013, some astronomically small number. And he turned around and he said, "What do you think that number means?" And we're all like, I don't know. And he was like, that's the chance that anybody that you know and anybody in this building is ever going to become a professional athlete. And what you did is something that very few people on this planet ever get the chance to do. So in that pursuit to get to that high level, who has been that hero, that inspiration for you?
I, I think that there's two kinds of athletes. I think that there's the athlete that plays for the love of the game, and then there's the athlete that plays to win.
Yeah.
And I was always the play to win type of athlete. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to win the game. I didn't care if my parents came to watch me. I didn't care about any of that stuff. I just wanted to win, and football is the game that I wanted to win at. So that's really important because it takes the play to win type of guy to win the game.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation actually the other day with I was doing a leadership summit for some, student athletes with I was in the room with Lee Rusan, OJ Anderson and Stephen Baker, some giants, oldies, legends,
Yeah.
and we were talking about this play to win versus fan of the game, and there's people that you playing on the field with where they're like, yo, Dre, I can't wait to watch you spin tonight. OJ, I can't wait to watch you go tear it up. And they really, patting you on the butt and patting you on the back, and they're running for you. They're rooting for you.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, when you don't have the momentum anymore, and you're down 3 points before the half, there's got to be somebody that has that internal drive or that galvanism to really rally or to get people fired up so that they could go and win. It's the play to win type of guy,
Yeah.
So I was always that person. And, this is not to say that I didn't necessarily have a hero or somebody that I was a fan of, but I had people that I was really modeling after, and then I would set small goals towards a big goal that I wanted to accomplish. So I was watching Adrian Peterson growing up, and it was really crazy to watch him growing up and then be able to go play against him
Yeah.
in the cold at night in Minnesota and get whooped by the person that you modeled yourself after to get to where you are that day. But I was like, I'm gonna be 225 pounds, 0 to 60 type of running back like Adrian Peterson. Love the way he run. And so I said, well, if I want to do that, what do I weigh right now? I was 160 coming into high school. I said, I got a lot of weight to gain. So I said, you know what? I got a mother that loves to cook and I am going to make sure I eat whatever she puts on this plate. And probably about 5 times out of 7 times during the week, it was chicken and rice. Chicken. So I made a little song, "Chicken and Rice Tastes So Nice," and I'm just eating my chicken and rice, and I was gaining the weight. And lo and behold, by the time we got to senior year, I was about 5 pounds away, about 215. But it was enough. It
Yeah.
was enough, and I looked the part because I was setting those small goals, make sure that I'm eating right because I know that that's one of the main things that I need to do to get to where it is that I'm trying to go. Um, but yeah, Adrian Peterson was somebody that I love watching. Um, the Curtis Martin was another running back that I loved. Uh, Ricky Williams and who's another guy? Tiki Barber.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite running backs.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. The one thing about becoming a professional athlete is that the public doesn't really see what happens after retirement. After players come away from the game, we may see them become a commentator. We may hear stories about business. But at the end of the day, you're doing something that is pretty phenomenal after a career that you've had of expanding out to being an entrepreneur. How are these seeds planted into you to remain successful, to remain in the game, and to do something along the lines of what you were doing as a player, but doing it in the business realm? How did that happen?
I had a realization. It's in that transition, you have to figure out what it is that you're gonna do that gives you that same type of feeling, that same kind of excitement.
Yeah.
And it sort of happened during the transition, but it happened while I was playing too. One, one of the biggest differences between college football and professional football is that there is this kind of there's an air of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like sports, professional sports is entertainment.
Yeah.
It's not like WWE entertainment where it's staged. The game is not staged as people tend to believe, but it's about entertainment. So, I came in with Odell Beckham Jr., and he had his golden hair and he's dancing in the end zone and all of that stuff. Yo, they eat that stuff up in New York.
Yep.
They want a player like that. They want a superstar,
Yep.
So that is important to the game.
Yeah.
And it's more important than it is at the college level. The college level is more so about, camaraderie and play for your school and all of that good stuff. At the professional level, it's business.
Yeah.
The game becomes business. You're not necessarily going back to the dorm room with your teammates. Everybody's going home to their families, and some of these guys is grown men.
Yeah.
I was playing with Eli. Eli had like 3 or 4 daughters. He was 30 something years old, or late 30s, so these guys is grown men, and so it's business.
Yeah.
But if the game is business, then that means that business is also a game,
Yeah.
So I started to recognize that business is a game. I when I after I had a really good rookie season. After the season, I was trying to figure out what to do with my time. I'm like, all right, I had this really good season. I'm in New York. I'm in a great market, really great platform. Got some cash in my pocket, but I'm sitting down here with this PlayStation, about to go play the PlayStation and waste my time. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be doing? What am I really supposed to be doing? What can I what kind of habit can I build, or what kind of skill can I build that's going to help me after this is all over with?
Yeah.
You know, and so, I went to Whole Foods one time and past the counter where they have all of those, like handmade soaps.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, how long would it take for me to get good enough at making a bar of soap to the point where I could get it into Whole Foods?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm gonna figure it out. I want to know how to make a bar of soap. And I ended up building a fragrance lab in my townhouse, and I was making soap, and I
Wow.
was making candles, and doing all types of different stuff, making scents and things like that. And I had a marketing agent named Luke, and Luke would come and he'd take pictures and shoot ideas to me, things like that. And he's like, I see what you're doing here, Dre, and I think that I have somebody that you would like to meet. And so I he's like, come to the city with me, and I'm gonna have a meeting. So I went and I met with his friend. His name was Eamon. And Eamon's like, hey man, you're a running back in the NFL. How would you like to create a signature shoe? I got this factory out in Spain. They're cranking out Balenciagas, and I got this old designer from Nike who's helping me design my own shoe. I got a company I'm building called One Ground Footwear, and maybe I could extend my creative faculties to you. You could make your own shoe, and we could run together. So that was the idea that he posed to me. And me coming from my fragrance lab, and I'm making a bar of soap, but now he's talking about making a luxury product. The
Yeah.
idea was exciting to me, so I went for it. And I created the Running Man. So I got one right here. This is the Running Man.
Right
So
on.
this was my first creative project,
Yeah.
and this is it's a really nice shoe. It's 100% rubber sole, genuine leather upper. We did lambskin interior, ostrich leather tongue, calf skin upper. So you know when I did that, then I didn't know what I was doing. I was making, like I said, I wanted to make a luxury product. How could I take an idea and actually create something real with it using, you know, things like a factory out in Spain that makes Balenciagas and sourcing the fabric from here and there, and came out with something really nice. And so, I made like 400 pairs, 200 in white, 200 in black, and didn't know what I was doing yet,
Yeah.
especially because I was still playing football, but it started opening doors. I started meeting different people, and I met this one guy, and he goes, "So why did you make the shoe?" I'm like, "Well, because it was cool." And he's like, "It's cool, but how are you gonna sell it?" And I said, I didn't get that far yet. I'm just making cool. Me and Eamon are running and trying to figure it out. Ended up having a 3 hour conversation with this guy where he was blowing my mind because it took me about 6 to 8 months and a lot of money to make that shoe. And he was giving me all the information that I learned over those 6 to 8 months for free, you know, didn't pay anything for it. So he qualified himself as somebody that could take me to the next level in terms of creating product. And so I didn't sleep that night because that 3 hours was real exciting for me. I couldn't sleep and my mind was just spinning, spinning, spinning. And then he kind of, posed to me like, all right, this is a shoe that is cool, but is it marketable?
Yeah.
Does the market need it? And I was like, the market does not need another shoe. It's oversaturated with shoes. What does it need? What does it need? And it came to me like, yo, I don't wear jeans because nobody is making an athletic fit. I keep ripping my pants, you know? So when I posed this idea to this guy, he's like, that's a niche that you can grow in and out of into the market because the premium and the couture market are not really looking at
Yeah.
what you're talking about. And so um, he said, but don't just make any jeans. Get the best possible fabric so you could compete. You can make the best pair of jeans and compete with the best people in the market. And when he said it like that, then I'm like, that's the same reason why I play football in the NFL. I
Yep.
want to compete with the best,
Yep.
you know? And that's when the game became a business and the business became a game.
Yep.
It was full circle. And I realized that it doesn't have to be football. You know what I'm saying? It could be, we could pull out a chessboard right now and it makes my hands sweat a little bit because I know that I'm about to compete with somebody and I got a
Yeah.
chance to win the game,
Yeah.
you know? So that's for me, that is why I do what I do because I just see what it is that I'm doing. It has some value, and everything is sales.
Yep.
Everything is sales. So if I can sell this to you, then I made the first down.
Yep.
And if I reach my sales target for the quarter or for the year, then I won the game.
Yep.
I'm competing with the best, and I am the best. So I think I am the best at what it is that I do. Lights my fire.
So let me ask you this: of everything that you've done on and off the field, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
Everything that I've done on and off the field, I have two beautiful, handsome baby boys. They're gonna be better than me one day, and I invest in them every day to make sure that that is true,
Yeah.
so they hold me accountable to what it is that I say that I want to do. And what I really want to do is create a positive legacy that is going to outlast me and it's going to be a foundation for them to do more than I was capable of doing,
Yeah.
you know. So fatherhood absolutely is one of the best things that I ever did. But just being a pro athlete in and of itself, that's one thing. But like, why is that so cool? And I think the reason is that humans love superlatives. They like the tallest of, the best of, the biggest, the smallest, whatever it is. It's the tip of, it's the greatest of. And so as an athlete, you get the opportunity to claim your superlative. So I could always say that in 2013, I was the best running back in college football because I got the award to prove it,
Yeah.
and that right there, that's the Heisman plaque back there. So I was the fourth best player in the nation,
Yeah.
you know. So I have that superlative and I can use that as a platform to spring into whatever else it is that I need to do. Because like I said, humans love superlatives and they respect that like I'm the president, you know. So I think that players today, especially the young guys, and that's part of my legacy and my responsibility to give back and to help them understand what does it really mean to be an athlete. It's not just playing the game. You're playing it for a reason. You're trying to get yourself in that record book so that you once you do it, nobody could ever take it from you. But now you have a responsibility, just like the president. People are looking up to you. You're a role model, you know, young and old. They're all looking to you for guidance, for expertise, and for just that. Sports is like a microcosm of society
Yeah.
because this guy comes in, he's red, he's blue, they don't agree, and they're gonna fight, and somebody's gonna win, and somebody's gonna lose, and that's okay
Yep.
because at the end of the day, they get to shake hands and say, "I still respect you, and I'm gonna see you in a few weeks. Good luck."
Yeah.
You know, if society worked like that all the time, we'd be doing really, really good.
Would. We totally
So
would.
that's why it's important what it is that we do, and it's not just the game. You know.
So, of all of the games and all of the moments that you've had in your life on the field, what was one of the most surreal experiences that you had, whether it was a play or a game? What was that moment for you?
The first moment that popped up in my mind was back in college. We were home against, I don't know who we were home against, but this was like, it was one of those like 12 play drives. And I'm tired. I'm tired because we were only running the ball two ways. It was power, or it was counter, or it was some derivative of the two. And then we had some play action passes, and we had this real fast receiver named Alex Amadon, who he just blow past people sometimes, you know, and that's all he did. So I'm tired, and we're like we're in the red zone, and coach could tell I'm tired, and this was dang, what's his name? I'm hearing him yell at me in my head, but he's like, Dre. And I look to the sideline and I see him and he's like, where's your heart, Dre? And it's like, he's telling me, like, I can see that you're tired, but we're
Yeah.
right here.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead and finish it. Finish it, you know? And that's what we did. We did call the run, and I got in the end zone. And it always stuck with me that like how you feel is not really that's not the reality.
Yep.
It's where you are in your mind,
Yep.
what you think.
Yep.
That's what is going to shape the reality.
Yep.
And you can inspire somebody to shape reality based on how you make them think.
Yep.
So um that's one moment that will always stick out to me because it was something so simple, but it was really really deep, you
Yeah.
know. And I always love him for that, for teaching me that lesson. um
That's a great story.
then I remember one of my old teammates, Luke Kuechly. I was a freshman when he was a senior, and Luke is one of the all-time greats of the game at linebacker. I got to play against him when he was with the Panthers and I was with the Giants at home. And he was running with another linebacker, big black bald-headed dude. I can't remember what his name was, but I don't remember what we ran some kind of play, and I broke into I was right there at the linebacker level, and Luke was just the smartest football player I've ever played against. And he was calling out every play, every play. But, offensive line did a good job, made a hole. But of course, he was right there to meet me. And him and that other guy, they sandwiched me and slammed me to the turf so hard. I never had a concussion before,
Yeah.
but that moment, Well, I was real close to it because I hit my head so hard when I got up. It's like the earth was tilted, you know. I could was having trouble making my way back to the huddle. I'm like, man, I hope I have at least 10 seconds just to just find myself because
Yeah.
I'm hurting right now, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and then what else? Scoring my first touchdown. I don't remember what my last one was, but I remember my first one was actually in it was in the preseason. It was a Hall of Fame game against against the Bills
Yeah.
in Canton. Um and just scoring the first one and just, just going crazy,
Yeah.
going
That's cool.
crazy. I don't know what happened to the ball.
Yeah.
Lost the ball, but
Yeah.
I scored and I'm like, all right, I'm here
Yeah.
and I can do what I came here to do. So let's keep doing it,
Yeah.
you know? So that was an excellent feeling.
So before we, because I know time's running out here, I want to make sure if anyone wants to reach out, get the pants, see more about what you're doing, post your career, post football, how can they delve into everything that you're doing these days?
So I have a hub. It's drewill.com. And the last good thing that I did, I don't know about what the last good thing I did, but in September I published my book. I published my book. It's called After the Last Snap.
Yeah.
When the game ends, life begins. And I'm very proud of this book. It's my memoir
Yeah.
from 0 to 30. And it's, all of those significant moments in my life that led me to where I am today, and it's not just the good things, it's
Yeah.
the good and the bad, the
Sure.
beautiful and the ugly. You know what I'm saying? Because if I just put the good things in there, I'm just talking about myself. I'm not helping anybody.
If anyone wants to delve into your world, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, drewill.com. Kept it real simple. DREWILL.com. And like I said, the book was really something that I needed to get done. I needed to get it done because I feel like I got a story that is not just it's interesting, because I've been places that only a handful of people get to go, and I met people only a handful of people will ever meet, and spent a decent amount of money in a short enough time to where you know it's not something that everybody gets to do, and I learned some hard lessons doing it, so along the way. And so I had to get it down on the paper because sometimes when the Heisman hit, from that point until up until now, life has been moving at 250 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and sometimes you get places and you don't even know how you got there.
Yeah.
So it's important to really sit down sometime and close your eyes and breathe deep and do some introspection. So that's what I needed to do, and that book was the most therapeutic thing that I've ever done. It really helped me to find closure on the past, but also look towards the future. So the book that's the central hub really of that website. It's like a newsletter, but also that's where I'm selling my online fitness packages and products, and also my clothing. My website is also there's links to my AW Selvage website as well. And so everything is still growing. I'm still figuring out how to exist and thrive on the web, but that's where I'm at. I'm at drewill.com.
Right on. Andre, this has been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you, sir, for your story. Thank you for your time. I will have all the links in the show notes. Have a wonderful 2025, man.
You too. Happy New Year, Joe. God bless, man. And I will hope to speak to you again real soon.
Sounds great, man. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.